Welcome to this Changing Places. Just want to cover off what the purpose of a changing place is. It's designed for people who've got multiple and complex disabilities who require assistance with their toileting or with their personal cares. So everything that's in this room has been designed with that in mind. It's been done to a standard, and that's a British standard. I'm going to demonstrate the equipment, how it's used, and then just give a quick overview of each piece of equipment. One thing I'd like to say is that somebody who comes in here will always have at least one carer or maybe a member of the family who will be accompanying them and helping them with their needs. So as a owner of the venue or an operator or facilities person, you wouldn't necessarily be expected to undertake these tasks, but you should have an understanding of what's required. One further point is that some of the equipment, the changing bench, the hoist and the basin, are all part of a service contract, and they need to be inspected regularly and maintained once a year. So a service contract has been set up for that purpose. I'll demonstrate now the use of the hoist. So the hoist is a ceiling mounted hoist. It comes across the room. It's got full room coverage, which allows it to reach each and every corner of the room and all the equipment that's required. In the middle of the floor, we have a large space, which we call the manoeuvring space. And the idea is that someone will come in their wheelchair into the middle of the floor here. We will then come to the hoist, take the handset out of the charger, and then manually move the hoist across the room until it's positioned above the wheelchair that the person is sat in. Using the handset, we can then lower it until we reach the required height above the wheelchair for the disabled person's slings to be able to be looped into these bars here. Once that's done, then we press the up arrow on here and it will raise the hoist spreader bar with the person in their sling until they're clear of the chair. At that point, this can be put into this little hook here, and then we can move this around the room to whichever location we want to take them to, whether it's the toilet first or to the changing bench, and ultimately, of course, back to the wheelchair, where once everything's finished, we can lower using this down control here. Now, 2 or 3 things about this that I need to point out. Firstly, there is a maximum weight limit on here of 200 kilograms, which is the standard for changing places. The Air Rise 200 name at the top gives that away. On the wall is a safety plaque or instruction plaque, and it also says 200 kilogram maximum on there. The information I'm telling you now is actually written on the plaque as well, so you can always refer back to that if you need to. There is a red cord here, which is an emergency stop. So if for any reason there's a fault or a problem and we need to stop suddenly, pulling that will override everything. You'll see the red light come on and it'll beep telling you that this is now in hold mode. That is cancelled simply by pressing the off and on buttons on the handset, and you'll see it comes back to green again. It's got a further function. If for any reason the hoist stops operating and somebody's up in the suspended from the hoist, pulling the cord and holding it down will activate emergency lowering, and that will always override anything else. So there's never a risk of anyone being left up suspended from the hoist. So to cancel that, off and on again, green light appears. We can raise the hoist. Always good practice to have the spreader bar so it's clear of people's heads. And then that could be taken back into the corner where the docking station is, and this is an important point. It's best practice to always leave this plugged in and on charge. So as part of cleaning regimes, one of the checkpoints is the hoist back on the charge. The hoist itself has got battery power for 50 or 60 lifts, so it's never going to run out as long as it's kept charged. But again, it's on the instruction plaque, and anyone who uses a hoist would know that's what they should do. So moving on now to the changing bench. So this is designed to fold up out of the way to create more space in the room. To lower it down, just carefully pull it forwards, help it down. There is a height adjustment, which is a corded control with simple up and down arrows, and we can raise it or lower it to the height required to the comfort of the carer and the person who's being changed. There's a safety rail at the front here, which we can release by pushing it up, turning the knob and flicking it up into place, and that just prevents any danger of anybody rolling off the edge if they have uncontrolled movements. Again, to take it down, push up, twist, push under, raise until it clicks into place. This padded line section here has a built-in headrest if somebody wants their head elevated while they're being changed. So lift this pad. Underneath you'll see there's this bar that's pulled out, and then you'll see there's two little stoppers on the base there. Now that will go up against them and then create a firm platform where somebody's head could be elevated. All these line sections are all fully removable for cleaning purposes. Once finished, then the bed is just folded back up to the wall. The shower, which is adjacent to the bed, is used in conjunction with the bed. It's not used as a standalone shower, but the idea is you take it from the stand, you direct it towards the person who'll be lying on the bench, and then any water is accumulated in this corner or comes down through the tray and goes into the drainage at the bottom. Moving on to the wash basin. This is a height adjustable wash basin, so it's designed for people who may be standing if they have a degree of ambulance. There are hand grips in the front so they can rest their weight on it. It's designed to take a person's weight. Equally, it can be lowered down to the height of somebody in a wheelchair. Or back up again. The tap is thermostatically rated to 43 degrees to avoid any scalding issues. Next piece of equipment is the privacy screen, and this is a room divider which we can pull across the room to create a more discreet space if, for example, the carer was wanting to go to the toilet whilst the other people were in the room. It could also be pulled across the door to screen the changing bench if anyone needs to leave the room whilst a person is on the bench being attended to. Finally, around the toilet we have these drop-down grab rails. These are for people to be able to rest their weight on. They're very robust and they simply lift up and lock down into place, and then lift up and pull back down again to raise and lower them. All the other items in this changing place, the ancillary things, the paper roll dispenser, colostomy shelf, hand dryer, soap dispenser, paper towel dispensers and the bins are all part of the standard equipment package for a changing place and should always be maintained as well. A full O&M manual will be issued at completion of the project, which will contain information about the cleaning required and any other further servicing requirements. If you've got any questions at all, please reach out to us at Innova. Thank you.